here we go again. I love it. You're back. Well done on you. Consistency, discipline, flexibility. Let's sink right into our forward fold. Nice deep breath. I got a pretty good tweak for you today. We often get caught up in fantasies and daydreaming, and that creates a lot of suffering. It doesn't allow us to accept reality. There was a time where I would always dream about being a professional hockey player. As a kid, that's all I wanted to do, was play professional hockey. And about 23, that dream was definitely over. And that was a long time ago. But for many, many years, I kept dreaming and fantasizing, what if I had made it? And no matter how often I would dream about it and escape into that fantasy, I would always come back to reality. And that reality would often then be quite a bit of suffering. And that led me to drink and to choose other habits that were not particularly good in order to escape the reality, as opposed to accepting where I was and it was time to move on. And daydreaming and fantasizing about wishing that things were a different way does create a tremendous amount of suffering. I've been through it, I've lived it, I can go there sometimes, but I really train myself to come back into the present moment and avoid that comfort for the moment. It does offer a bit of temporary comfort to daydream or fantasize about a different reality, but we can't escape reality. The reality is, this is what I can do with my forward fold right now. This is about as far as I can get. There was a time where I'd get my head to the floor, no problem. That time doesn't seem to be anymore. I accept that this is where I'm at. That eliminates a lot of the suffering. I continue to work, to push myself. Acceptance doesn't mean resignation. We still tried, but it's the taking of action. When we're taking action, that can move us forward. Escaping into fantasy and daydreaming keeps us stuck. Really does. It creates a gap between reality and what we're actually experiencing. We want to fully experience what we're in, to be fully present. Is that when we can move forward? That's when we can move forward. Breathe into our stretch. This one's a big one for me. I think this can create so much more happiness. Overthinking, daydreaming, fantasizing is probably the biggest addiction that we have as a human species. More so than any of the other drugs, alcohol, porn, whatever it might be, video gaming. Overthinking, daydreaming, fantasizing, getting caught in that monkey mind, the repetitive thought pattern. I wish things were different than they are. Nope, this is the way things are. We don't reject the present moment because reality will always pull us back into what is real. The more often we can be in that place, fully present, the better off we are. It really is a high. It's this temporary buzz that we get from fantasizing, from daydreaming, wanting things to be different. And we just have to really pay attention, to be so present. We notice when our mind wanders off into a fantasy, a daydream. Oh, that doesn't serve me. What do I need to do now? And that's the taking of action. And then that action creates motivation, and that creates momentum. Whatever it is, the smallest things can lead to huge change. Getting out of that constant, repetitive thought. We have something like 60,000 thoughts a day, and something like 90% are the same ones we had yesterday. Clearly that keeps us stuck. That helps us to avoid any kind of change.
Video bomb.
That's just the reality. There's dum-dums amongst us all the time. Sometimes having a bit of a laugh too. We can take these things too seriously. I'm trying to find the terminology of taking our lives seriously, but not taking ourselves too seriously. We should be serious about our lives, but not taking ourselves too seriously. See, there would be a time when I would have been meditating or doing something like this, and that would have annoyed me. It's like, no, this is serious. It's not. This helps to get the point across. There's always going to be disruptions. We don't need to go to a mountaintop and go on retreats to be present. Our daily lives will give us enough opportunities to grow and to learn and to be present. We get caught off in traffic, not wanting it to be different. Oh, that's the reality. I get to choose my reaction to it now. Oh, the person in front of me is driving really slowly. No, it should be different. They should be driving the speed limit. They should do what. No, this is the reality. I accept what is. There's nothing I can do to change that. I can change myself, and I can be calm and peaceful in this moment. Things that we can do to avoid fantasy, daydreaming, really connecting to our breath. The simplest things, one breath, can bring us into the present moment. It's the best thing that we have. One simple breath can be a meditation. Just be here now. Certain mantras, you find the mantra that works for you. Just be here now. Just repeating that over and over. Be present. Be here. Be now. I'm not my mind. I'm not my body. I'm not my mind. It just brings me into this moment. I'm not those negative thoughts. I can go beyond that. Appreciating the simplest of things. When I make breakfast for my kids in the morning, I make them hot cereal every morning, and I put cinnamon on top of it, and then I boil water. And when I pour the hot boiling water onto the oatmeal and the cinnamon, the smell of the cinnamon that comes up is so incredible. And I look forward to that every day. And it lasts for seconds, maybe 1-2 seconds. But I breathe that cinnamon in, and I just feel everything relax, and I just feel such joy with that simple, simple thing. Finding the littlest things, the simplest things, and finding pleasure and joy and happiness in those. There's no fantasy, there's no daydreaming that's going to bring you that kind of joy of being present. Can you find the simplest things? The bite of a delicious apple, that first crispy bite, the sound, the juices, the flavor. That can bring me so much joy more than anything else. Sometimes it's the absolute simplest of things. If you can focus on those, that's a great way to not get into daydreaming and escapism. This is where I'm at. The idea of this is good enough in this moment I like too as a mantra. I am good enough. This is good enough. There can be so much joy and pleasure in a simple life and in the simplest things in life. The pleasure of a simple stretch. The pleasure of lighting a candle in the evening when you get home. Of just being, reading something nourishing. If you enjoy reading the Bible, picking up some scripture and just finding something that elevates you and the pleasure that comes from that simple act. Connecting to a loved one, picking up the phone. Our devices, technology is a lot of good to it, and use the technology as a tool that benefits you. A simple phone call can be an incredible way to be truly present, connect to somebody. Pretty nice. Thanks for joining me. We got 2 days to go. How awesome. Day 28 is going to be the best. Tomorrow's going to be great too. Make sure you join me today. He did join me today. I'm not perfect. I can accept that in this moment, and I can still aim to do better. But in this moment, I accept the reality that I'm not perfect yet. We'll keep working for it. I think it'll be a lifelong thing. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.